All right, music fans, welcome back. It is I, Harmless Dave, here talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So Dennis DeYoung will not be reuniting with his old band anytime soon. He's been pleading, he's been begging. Maybe the fact that he's been critiquing some things that they did in the past and how his exit from the band was not something that had to happen. He's also made comments about certain things that happened during the 90s, which brought the band back together again briefly. And it appeared it was a glorious reunion. But apparently those same animosities, those same differences were still there. But the mid-90s was certainly a money grab, not necessarily for Dennis, but for everybody else involved who may or may not have been struggling financially. This is what I remember Dennis talking about during a couple of interviews where he was very blunt. And I think the reason he was blunt and the reason he pushed back was I think he continues to be branded as the problem. And maybe he was the problem. Like I said, I'd love to know specifics. Was Dennis just this dictator that yelled and screamed at everybody? Was he a taskmaster? Did he do less work in the band than anyone else? Did he expect more out of other people than he did from himself? These are all questions that you could ask, and nobody really has bothered to ask them. So you've got to think, is it a personality issue? Dennis has not lived a rock and roll lifestyle. I have talked about this. And for some reason, somebody who is well adjusted with a wife and kids and, living the American dream, so to speak, and doing the things that he wants to do with his life and not, succumbing to all the temptations of the world, somehow that makes him kind of an oddball. Oh, he's just weird, It's like the kid who's still a virgin at age 20 or whatever these days. It's just, you're an oddball, man. What's wrong with you, just do it. Everybody else is doing it. And, the thing about rock and roll is people kind of glamorize the rough and tumble side of it. The abusive behaviors, and Dennis was never involved in any of that. So I'm wondering, is that like a reason, especially at this stage when people are much older and some people, definitely changed their ways or learned from their mistakes and said, nope, not doing that anymore. I mean, even Fleetwood Mac, it supposedly got the message on that, right? I mean, if any band was to continue on in those wild ways, it would have been the Mac, but they even said, we couldn't go on like that forever. But it does get glamorized. Like the story becomes like this war story that we all survived. Let's, crowd around the table and we'll talk about that white marching powder that we were all involved with, and Dennis is the antithesis of that. He is somebody who seems very well adjusted, is comfortable in his own skin. He's not looking the rock star part these days, and I mentioned that in several videos. He's not trying to be somebody that he's not. He's not trying to turn back the hands of time and so forth. A lot of these guys, they'll have surgery done. The hair, of course, is a big thing. You got to replace those follicles that are falling out and hope that the new ones don't fall out. And if you got that kind of money, sure, do it. I'd do it if I were in rock and roll. But the point is, is that the reason why there's this distance? Or is it the fact that there's some envy, there's some jealousy when you look back through the archives and you see who had more hit records, who sold, whose impact made these albums sell more, whose songs are being played on the radio more. And that's an easy thing to look up. And clearly Dennis is the big winner in all of those categories. Babe Alone, a song that everybody really detests, supposedly. I don't. I think it's a great song. But Babe, I think, is outpacing everything in that catalog. And it should, because it's a great tune. And by the way, the guys in that band added some great parts to that song. The guitar solo in Babe is fantastic. The atmospherics in that, even though it started as Dennis kind of noodling on a keyboard, it became a real big, real live song. So I don't know. This issue, because there are a lot of fans, and they'll reach out to me, the Dennis fans, and they'll say, "Did you hear what so and so is saying?" And I go, "You know what? I've said it. I've said it over and over again. Just do it for the fans. Get back together for the fans. Hold your nose. You're not in the same dressing room. You're not on the same tour bus. You're not on the same airplane, most likely. I don't know. My guess is everybody's kind of got their separate transportation, and just do a few shows for the fans. You don't even have to do a full-blown tour. Look, Foreigner brought back Lou Gramm and the old band, right? The entire older band, which apparently was dismissed in the early 80s, like, we don't need you guys anymore. Or they basically pared the lineup down. But to bring those guys back and to have success doing that, I think, is a testimony to diplomacy and doing the right thing. And a lot of fans of Dennis DeYoung think that he should get one more crack at this, put some closure on it. And the other guys, they can go out and do mission to Pluto, mission to Venus, wherever they want to fly to next. Nobody's going to care at that point. The funny thing is, nobody cares a whole lot anyway, which is unfortunate, because the new stuff nobody's really paying attention to, and there's no radio network that's going to put your song in heavy rotation. It's a sad truth, but it is what it is. So in any event, for those of you thinking a Dennis reunion with his old band is going to happen, I doubt it. I doubt it. You would think after what happened the last year that people would kind of appreciate their relationships and their existence, and maybe do something a little special and out of the box for those of us who still believe in that original lineup. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just really don't.